going on, guys? It's here. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today, we're back with another build. Yes, we are just merely 3 days as of the release of this video, because it's technically midnight right now as this is being recorded on voice. But we have 3 days until Vault of Glass. So far, as y'all know, from this week, I have been coming out with builds galore, trying to publish them and everything. The first build that I came out with was my Void 3.0 build, which is what I'll also be taking in the vlog. It's been my best build and one of my most favorites build. But this build, surprisingly, uses Warmind cells and wells. It uses wells and Warmind cells at the exact same time. You guys are gonna not believe me, but this build requires a very specific setup in terms of armor mods and whatnot to keep it going in the way that it was meant to. Other than that, let's dive right into the build. First off, on the screen right now, you should be able to see the stats of what this build can do. The ad clear, the usual stats that you guys seen from the previous episode. Not previous episode, but from the previous build. You should see all those same stats on here, except with different numbers and whatnot compared to, how they were. Furthermore, if you want to RP this build, you are essentially going to be a Warlock, and this build is meant for those with a special connection with Rasputin. You are a Guardian who vows to protect Rasputin, and you're going to use the very weapons that he created, or that he uses, to protect yourself from the enemies of dark, from the enemies of the light. With this build, you're going to be using Fireteam Medic, Warmind's protection, and much more to keep yourself alive. This build is meant to be a very huge survivability build, and by far one of the best Warmind cell builds I've created. Last time I did a Warmind cell build, it was so random that it was actually kind of god-awful. But this time, I had a set mindset, and there was a way I wanted to build it, and I feel like I outdid myself with this particular Warmind build. This build does not use certain mods for the reasons that they collide with other mods that's used. Other than that, I'm gonna dive y'all right into what's in my head on what happened when I made this build. Essentially on the screen, this is essentially what the build can do in terms of a showcase. Here we go. Alright, so this build is actually kind of good, mainly because you're going to be getting your super back, you're going to be getting your grenade back, you're going to be constantly healing, you're going to be constantly getting wells, you're going to be constantly getting Warmind cells. This is ad clear at its finest. This is almost as good, or if not better, than the build that I showed you guys earlier this week. Now, for this build, you kind of do need to be running a Warlock with Solar. Now, you can use Stasis and Voidwalker, but you're going to be eliminating some of the perks that this build does have. But if you do use either of those two, it's still just as decent, if not okay. But this build is mostly meant for Wall of Radiance, mainly because you're going to mostly be using the exotic Phoenix protocol. So, here is what you are going to be using. Now, unless it's a raid boss such as Atheon, you're going to be using fusion grenades. Otherwise, solar grenades for ad clear. You're going to also be running Middle Tree with Wall of Radiance. You're going to be running Balance Glide, and you're going to be running Healing Rift. This is just so that way you can constantly keep healing, constantly keep your HP at a very high amount. This is where your survivability is going to come in play. It's really insane. Now, understand, these stats over here, they do lie to you. They do lie to you in some way. Mainly because, again, I didn't have the best rolled armor, but I did have excellent quality ideas for this build. In other words, whenever you make this build, you're going to be focusing into recovery, intellect, and discipline for this particular build. Now, furthermore, the weapons that you're going to want to be grabbing is a blinding grenades, partner dust, or a grenade launcher. You can also grab a Fatebringer, a scout rifle with explosive payload, Wither Horde, Osteostriga, peace of mind, you know, the usual stuff, the usual stuff. You're not going to be using Osteo-Striga. My bad. I shouldn't have said that, but you're not going to be using Osteo-Striga. The main reason why is because Ikelos SMG is here. There's no reason to be running double SMG. You're going to be running Partner Dust, Praetus, Fatebringer, or Nightwatch. These are your 4 main weapons. Then there's Witherhoard, just in case you're not using an exotic heavy. In terms of energy weapons, you're going to be using Ikelos SMG. You're going to also be using Salvager's Salvo. And that's about it. Just Ikelos SMG and Salvager's Salvo. Those, literally just those two. Main reason why is Atheon, you're going to be using Salvager's Salvo for the DPS side of things, and for Ad Clear, you're going to be using Ikelos SMG. Mainly because of the Warmind cells. And then there's also the fact that you're going to be wanting to get an Ikelos SMG with Demolitionist and Subsistence, or Grave Robber Demolitionist. This is so that way you can constantly keep getting your abilities back super quickly. That's why I said that this over here doesn't really matter. This is why it's going to lie to you. This is how you're going to decrease the amount of time it takes for you to get your abilities and all back, because your Demolitionist gives you grenade energy, Grave Robber gives you ammo and melee attacks. It's just nuts. Also, in terms of heavy, you're going to be grabbing Parasite, Gallowhorn, Xenophage, Royal Entry, and Red Herring. With Royal Entry and Red Herring, you're going to want to get Tracking Module Lasting Impression or Auto-Loading Lasting Impression, whichever one comes first. You're going to be grabbing Gallowhorn for the Wolfpack rounds, and you're going to be grabbing Parasite for the burst DPS. In terms of artifact mods, this is what you're going to have in your artifact. You're going to have, again, you're going to have all the champion mods. You're going to grab Rocket Launcher Scavenger, Psionic Foraging, Melee Wellmaker, Font of Might, Thermoshock Plating. You're going to definitely want to grab this because this is actually kind of important. Glaive Scavenger, Unstoppable Glaive, Lucent Finisher, Suppressing Glaive, Overload Grenades. Of course, again, you're not going to be running Void, so this isn't as important. Volatile Flow, this is for the previous build that I mentioned, if you guys haven't seen that yet. Devouring Depths, again, for the previous build that I mentioned, and Suppressive Darkness, again, for the previous build that I mentioned. Other than that, here's what else you're going to be grabbing. You're going to also be using multiple armor pieces with solar. Yes, all of your armor needs to be solar energy allocated except for your bond. Everything has to be solar except for your bond, and there is a very good reason why. Alright, let's move up. Let's start off with the helmet. Mask of Righteousness, or in this case, the helmet. You're going to want to get a discipline roll and you're going to want to add discipline to it. You're going to also want to get Ashes to Assets to gain super energy on grenade kills. This is another way you're going to get your super back pretty quickly, because grenade kills give you super energy, and then in turn the super is going to give you grenade kills. Harmonic Siphon, Rapid Final Blows with damage matching your subclass type creates an orb of power. Really, if you want to, you can just swap this out for anything else other. This is just a filler. Global Reach is important here, because this is how your Warmind cells are going to get around the map. Whenever you generate a Warmind cell, you can affect and destroy targets at a greater distance. In terms of gloves, again, you're going to use basic champion mods. You're going to also want to get an intellect mod into this one, because normally I would also run discipline, but intellect just seems better because extra super. Well of Life, yes, there is wells in this as well. For the I see what I did there. For the Well of Life, you're picking up a solar elemental well grants increased regeneration for a short period of time. You're going to constantly be getting your grenade back, ladies and gentlemen, and this is what else you're going to be using. You're going to also grab Strength Mod, because you're going to get extra, you know what, screw it. You're going to go with Discipline. Ignore that. You're going to go with the Discipline Mod. Then we're going to get Thermoshock Plating for solar and arc damage. Then you're going to get Sniper Damage Resistance for the Sniper Resistance, and Elemental Ordinance. Defending a combatant with a grenade spawns elemental wells that matches your subclass energy type. Since you're going to be running middle tree solar, you're going to be getting solar wells, which coalesces better with Well of Life. In terms of boots, this is what you're going to use for the boots. You're going to be using an intellect mod, again, for the same... not an intellect mod, I'm sorry, it's a recovery mod. I am tired as of making this video. But you're going to be getting a recovery mod. Then you're going to get innervation, and you're going to get recuperation. This gives you HP and grenade energy for each orb of power you get. Then you're going to also get Fireteam Medic, another way to keep you alive. Every time you pop a Warmind cell, not only do you get HP, but you and your allies get HP. This keeps your team alive, and this is definitely going to be a part of my day one loadout if I need to use it. And this is why the Bond is going to be the odd one of the bunch. Your Bond is going to have recovery, distribution. Yes, the first time I've actually used this mod for a good reason. Distribution is in this build, mainly because everything is so void related, it makes literally the artifact mods useless, and distribution is the only useful mod that I've seen turn out good in this build. Reduces all ability cooldowns when you're using your class ability, and you're going to be constantly getting your class ability because of your IKLS SMG with the Grave Robber Demolitionist. It is nuts and crack galore. I'm telling you guys, I absolutely love this. And this build, I was using it in VOG earlier tonight, and my goodness, this was just out of the door wild. Then you're going to get Warmind's Protection. You want to know how you stay alive? Warmind's Protection. So, not only are you getting HP for blowing up the Warmind cells, but if you can't get to that Warmind cell then and there, this is another way that you stay alive. And you take reduced damage from enemies that are near the Warmind cells. Now, using a 7th Seraph or an Ikelos weapon grants these Warmind cells. Now, just in case you're wondering, this build is absolutely nuts. I loved using it. And I know it's not the best Warmind Cell-esque build, but it's definitely been a fun build to use. If you're wanting a build to use for day one, this is probably a decent build to use, but definitely not the best, because the better build of the two that I've posted so far this week was definitely the Void 3.0 build. But this build is just as good, if not maybe better. But I'm gonna leave you guys to that in the comments down below. But this build's doing work as well, and it's kind of nice using Warmind cells since they got nerfed during Season of the Lost. And I understand that they're not as good as they used to be, but they're definitely not bad. They're definitely still pretty good. I think the only thing they nerfed was the energy cost and the damage. And even then, like, the damage isn't even that bad, because the reason you're using Warmind cells is to keep yourself alive and to pop them for HP. That's literally why you're using them. Other than that, hope you guys enjoy it. Alright, and that's about it for this build video, guys. If you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And like I said, like, this was by far one of the builds I've been making lately have started becoming my favorite builds to use in Destiny's history. And like, I'm honestly glad that the meta's starting to become sort of diverse compared to how it's been the last couple of seasons. The last couple of seasons, let's see, the season before Season of the Lost was straight up nothing but anarchy. And then last season, which the last Season of the Lost, was Whisper Gallahorn, and now it's Parasite Gallahorn. You see the occasional sleeper, you see the occasional grenade launchers. I mean, it's just so unique. This season has been very diverse. I'm honestly ready to see what everyone brings into the next raid in terms of meta loadouts. Other than that, guys, like, I hope you guys enjoyed this, because I did when it came to making this. Now, hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe. God bless you. Thank you for coming to the channel. Welcome to the family if you're new, and I love you all. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.